listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. With your hosts, Anthony R. Destiny, Joe Ferrani, and Jerry Kenna. Interviewing entrepreneurs, business operators, and investors. This episode of Between Two Bridges is sponsored by Paymark Payroll. Payday is the most important day to your most important people, and payday is made easy at www.payyourpeople.com.
Alrighty, we're here with Between Two Bridges, businesses talking businesses. Our topic this evening,
well,
if you want to call it that.
Yeah,
I guess we'll talk about the shit show that everybody's talking about right now.
Yeah, it'll definitely be more entertaining because even the debate wasn't entertaining. It was.
I don't know if other countries debate, but it's been a tradition for a long time here.
People usually win elections in those debates.
Remember?
Yeah, there's always been a point during these debates, and I was listening to a podcast before the debate, and they were talking about debates before this one. This one hadn't even happened yet, and talking about things that candidates had done right or done wrong during a debate that kind of sealed the deal. And they talked about when Reagan was running. And they asked him, the moderator asked, you're about his age. And do you remember that clip? Remember that? And he said, at no time will I use my opponent's youth and inexperience against him. And kind of flipped it. And even I forget who was running against him. At that time, like if you watch the clip, like even he looked at him and was like, yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
Right.
But
that like
we
sealed
didn't
the
see
deal.
any of that.
No.
In this last presidential debate.
And they talked about George W. Bush when he was going up against Gore. If you remember when Al Gore like walked up, like approached him, like almost like he was trying to intimidate him, like walked up to his podium, and George W. Bush just looked at him and was like, there's a lot of political strategists that were like, that was the minute that Al Gore lost the election.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely could decide. I mean, I remember, I don't remember, but I've seen clips of, was it Kennedy and Nixon?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kennedy had
Nixon was like sweating his ass off and lost because of that. So
yeah, Kennedy had an aura about him, and like usually political parties look for a guy that looks presidential.
Yeah.
Neither one are running in November.
And that was an interesting one because I think that was the one they were talking about during this podcast. That was the first one that was on television.
That's true, yeah.
So the people, like half the country listened to it and half the country watched it. And the half the country that listened to it thought Nixon won. But the half the country that watched it thought Kennedy won because Kennedy was calm, cool, and collected and was, fine. Nixon was sweating his ass off and was like noticeably uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But these debates have major impacts. I mean, they were talking about during when Trump was going against Hillary, the whole "you'd be in jail" comment,
which was
it's still a clip.
It's a great line,
always going. But that was something that they took off the table on this debate. They shut the mics off. There was not going to be
a lot of rules.
Banter.
There were a lot of rules with this, and there's people that are saying that those rules that were come up with the Biden campaign, the DNC came up with these rules and said we'll do it, but here's how the stipulations.
Just had a coin flip, which I'm not sure has ever been done.
Could you bet on said coin flip?
I'm sure you could. There's lines now on who's going to win, and Biden is way behind now.
I did not.
But so the rules, let's go through those stipulations. They had to shut the mics off between. Mm-hmm. If it's not your turn to talk, your mic was muted. You only had a certain amount of time.
2 minutes or something.
Yep.
With a 1 minute rebuttal.
Yeah. No audience.
And they're worse than kids on a playground.
Yeah. But I think when I went into it, I thought, man, all these rules, and I think a lot of political pundits were saying that were kind of looking at it like these stipulations were so strict that they actually thought that the Biden camp put them out there like Trump's never going to agree to this.
Right.
And Trump was like, all right, let's do it. And I think that,
like,
especially after,
I'm known for breaking the rules. Fuck it. Give me all the rules. I don't care.
Yeah, I think he wanted to be in there.
Yeah. And I think after the debate, after watching that disaster, I think that there might be truth to that. And I think that the Biden camp fumbled the ball.
Yeah, but I also think that Trump fumbled the ball.
Well, it started at the beginning. So I watched it in bed with my wife. She at first did not believe there was actually going to be a debate. I proved her wrong there, but
she think they were just going to cancel it?
Yeah, she did not think it was going to happen at all, and she's way more into politics than I am. But I went into it impartial. I think this election before it was a coin flip, depending on which poll you look at. But I had some popcorn ready.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'll give my impression. I thought Biden waved to a non-existent crowd when it came out. I don't know if you saw that, but
I didn't even notice.
Maybe he waved to the moderators, but it looked like he was waving to a crowd that was not there. I wanted to see if he could even be coherent for the full 2 hours, which he did not do. And then I wanted to see how presidential, I guess you could say, Trump could be.
Yeah.
And I don't know if either of them hit the mark.
No, I don't think either of them did. I was expecting more from Biden. I thought that
I mean, why?
I think, because if you look at the State of the Union,
yeah, he was fired up.
I don't know if they got his meds right a little bit better.
Some rumors that
I don't know
was on
what happened.
He should just do cocaine at this point.
Yeah,
he runs in the family.
His son does.
Just fucking do it. Dad, here's a little.
He gets it from you can get it from Hunter. Maybe his source dried up. I don't know, but I think that. I don't know. I expected him to come out. I figured that they were going to have him prepped. I mean, didn't they? He spent like 10 days.
A while preparing.
In his basement.
Well, at Martha's Vineyard or somewhere like that. I mean, he was
Camp David.
He was at Camp David.
Camp David now for the 4th. Usually.
But he was there for like 9 or 10 days before the debate, just preparing for the debate. So I figured that was going to entail not only preparing for the material, but also like get your rest. Eat clean.
Yeah.
Maybe, a little bit of TRT and Adderall. None of that happened.
Remember some lines.
Yeah. When he came out, and I thought, but in 90 minutes is a long time for anybody, especially anybody that's in their 80s or close to their 80s.
But that kind of pressure, that's a big deal.
Well, we see it here week after week. 90 minutes is sitting here, like at the end.
It can be tough.
It's tough. And a lot of times by the end of our podcast, we're probably like incoherent. I don't think that many people get to the end of our podcast. But so yeah, I totally get it. But when he came out and like the first couple things he said, I was like, oh no. Yeah. This is not going to go well for him.
Yeah.
Right.
His first couple sentences, he was stuttering and stumbling, and I'm like, oh boy.
At one point he said he killed Medicare.
We finally beat Medicare.
Yeah. Which I don't think you want to do.
Yeah.
If most voters are older and are on Medicare, I believe.
He fumbled that ball.
So there was a ton of shit that went wrong on both sides.
Yeah.
Right? What were the topics they covered?
So they covered they covered the economy, which is the number one.
That was pretty slick what you did there.
Yeah. So
talk about that a little bit.
So one thing we did is we wanted to talk about this. We wanted to have an episode that we were going to talk about the debate. Now we don't typically do just politics, and we don't want to be a political show. We have no interest in that. This is a business show, but this is something that is
every 4 years it changes the business dynamic.
It does, and this is obviously on everybody's mind, and it just happened. We can't ignore it. We have to talk about current events. So we figured, let's talk about this debate. Well, they released the transcript. So we thought, all right, well, let's start there. So I copied and pasted the transcript into a Word document, and it was 28 pages long. Well, I don't have time for that. None of us have time for that. So I copied and pasted it into ChatGPT and said, can you summarize this text? And I have a 1-page summary of the debate, which it leaves out the beating Medicare. And it leaves out a lot of the
golf
hyperbole,
handicaps.
the handicap,
what a ridiculous state of
the
affairs
ridiculous stuff. But it talks about their positions in every one of the topics. So the topics that they talked about, number one topic right now, polling across the country, economy, inflation.
Inflation's a big thing. Like a lot of times when I'm thinking about the show, I'm always thinking like, we talk about inflation a lot.
We do. We talk about it. It's the biggest thing we're dealing with as business owners is the rising cost of everything.
I think we all agree costs have gone up.
Well, we can all agree.
The stock market has gone up.
It has.
Cost of living is through the roof.
Rent is through the roof.
Rent is through the roof.
Rates are through the roof. I mean, everything is very, very expensive right now. Fuel is expensive. Fuel has the tendency.
So subjectively, we could say the economy, for the most part, is worse.
Well, fuel is the big one.
Right.
So
exactly.
They
fuel trickles down to everything.
If you got it, truck brought it. Well, if a truck brings it and it's using fuel.
It's pretty slick, Joe.
Yeah.
It's like you deliver things for a living.
I do now. Man of many hats.
Okay.
So they talk about the economy and inflation. We'll just go through the topics and then we'll kind of talk about what they talked about. Economy and inflation, which led into national debt and taxes.
Okay.
Then they talked about abortion and healthcare. They talked about the immigration and border security, and that was something they talked about a lot.
Yeah.
They talked about foreign policy, and domestic issues. The foreign policy meaning the wars that are going on, all the crazy shit that's going on around the world.
Six topics in every presidential debate for the last 100 years.
And it's and to be fair, it's the same 6 topics that are the number one the topics that we're all worried about.
Our lives,
I think some of them are probably only topics because the two parties keep fucking talking about them.
Yeah.
And if we stop talking about them and just let people do what they do and just get out of people's lives, they probably wouldn't be topics anymore. But yeah, so I think the biggest things for us to talk about, like, I don't think we're not going to sit here and talk about abortion and healthcare.
They're clear of that one.
Yeah. Which I will say though, Biden's response to the abortion, whenever Trump said that everybody supported it, I don't know if everybody supported it, but okay. And then Biden's response was about a teenage girl that was murdered by an illegal immigrant. Not sure that was on topic. And he basically went from a topic that he owned to a topic that is one of his worst topics.
People in his party had to be like, shit.
What the fuck did he just say?
We need small wins, man.
Yeah. Immigration and border security. I don't know if we really need to talk too much about that. We can. I mean, there's a business impact in that. But the inflation and economic stuff, I think, is
So we started with the economy. Obviously, prices are up.
They are.
Jerry, I guess, is business up in a general sense? Do you think lending is up?
No. I think everybody's scared shitless to spend money.
Yeah, I think consumer spending is down.
Mortgage rates just went above 7% for the first time. The average homeowner rate.
The average
7%.
Rate. What's prime right now? What's the rate?
You just said. Hold on. Let me look.
Yeah.
Because you just sent me an article.
I've experienced in our business.
Joe, are you doing better than you were 4 years ago?
No.
Dollar wise, gross?
Yeah, we are in that respect. Net? We've raised prices to get to that point.
Okay.
But one of the things that I'm starting to notice now, recently, is we have a little downturn in sales for the first time. Like we came out of COVID, obviously that year and a half of COVID, we were down.
Yeah.
And then we rebounded and we went 2 years up. And I bought some businesses and added to my bottom line there. But the last month, so June was the first month in probably about 18 months, we saw a downturn.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always pay attention to when we're talking about these topics is when people can't afford, so they're going on vacation, they're going to start budgeting. Christmas comes around, they're going to start budgeting.
Yeah.
my industry is one that takes a hit because, like, granted, we have a lot of customers that are wealthy that don't care, but like maybe they will wear a suit to 2 job interviews and not get a clean in between, you know, like stuff like that. And I have a lot of people retiring. A lot of my clientele is retiring.
Yeah, I guess that's a threat to your...
Because they're sick of the shit. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these people, like, started working 30, 40 years ago. They got a nice nest egg.
Right.
They're ready to, like, all right, well, I have enough. And, you know, if it's going to cost me money to go to work or run my business, I might as well close down and be done. So, I mean, we've always been good. My business essentially has always been good at pivoting and finding other avenues. Like, we have steady revenue streams with other items other than shirts and suits.
Right.
So that's good. But yeah, I mean, the over-the-counter sales
down
took a little hit. Yeah.
Okay. Jerry, you doing better than you were 4 years ago?
No.
I know your car's better.
Yeah. Well, so in certain aspects of
that's
it,
hard.
Right? It's hard to say because things have changed a lot for me individually for the last 4 years, right? And if you're... So I've seen people that are... You see different talking points from both sides, right? And the people that are defending the condition of the economy right now make comments like, things are great. Everybody I know is doing great. Mm-hmm. And if you're not doing great in this time, then that's your fault.
Right. Yeah. Which that hurts because, like, nobody knows everybody's situation.
Right.
And nobody knows how hard your people are working. So it sucks.
But I can tell you, though, that, like, yes, personally, like, we're in a better position now than we were 4 years ago. Mm. But not because of anything that Biden did. Not because of anything that Trump did. And that really goes to something else, and I'll even lean into this more. And I hope that people listen to this and think and really take a step back and maybe chill out a little bit about all this, is that worry about what's going on in your 4 walls.
Yeah.
Worry about what you can control, because the person, like, if you're sitting in a situation right now and you're thinking, my life sucks, I can't pay my bills, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm not getting anywhere. No matter who's elected in November, that's not going to change unless you take the initiative to change it yourself.
Yeah, 100% agree.
So for anybody to sit here and be like, I was doing better 4 years ago and it's all because of Biden, or I was doing better 8 years ago.
That's bullshit. Yeah.
And it's all because of Trump.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
I've always felt that people, they have glamorized politics. They have made it such a sporting event, a spectacle. I don't think that the president of the United States should impact you as much as people say.
I don't think that he does.
Your day-to-day is not going to change.
Right.
No,
there'll be little things along the way that'll piss you off. Taxes will kill you.
Right. But I can tell you, for tax-wise, I mean, Trump's tax plan is still in effect, and it has not changed since Biden took office. So, I mean, your taxes have not gone up. Mm-hmm.
The day-to-day cost of everything went up. And I think that that's just something that's going to happen regardless.
Yeah, and during the debate, Biden blamed the inflation and the slow recovery.
It's like the chicken and the egg.
Yeah, right. He blamed it on Trump and the state of the country whenever he left, not acknowledging the fact that he left at the pandemic. Right. I mean, we were in a global pandemic that
was created.
Changed the game.
That was.
Well, I don't want to say it was created. I don't want to get too.
I mean, we can get into that with those weeds too, and that's probably a whole nother episode.
Have a scientist on next.
But whether or not it was manufactured or whatever, and you can also we could have a whole nother episode on whether or not, or what about the pandemic really caused the economic distress. That it wasn't the pandemic, it wasn't the disease, it was the shutdowns.
Yeah,
right. It was the nonsense of shutting down real estate, car lots, and the ports
were backed up for months.
And there's certain states that are doing better than other states because they were shut down longer. Or, I mean, there's states in the South that they were like, "What pandemic?"
Florida.
One of my unique takeaways of, like, the debate and talking about all this was, we are such a country divided.
Right.
Nobody can agree about anything.
Correct.
The right says it's up, the left will say it's down.
Correct.
One of the things that I took away from the debate was no matter who you side with in that debate, everybody can agree on one thing, that neither one of these guys should be the president.
Yeah, I think no matter who you vote for, I think everybody's going to be holding their nose to vote for them.
Yeah. So we're going to be a country divided together throughout this process that are like, hey, we know your guy's fucked up, but we got to vote for our guy. You know?
Well, and I was listening. I've been listening to podcasts, doing a lot of reading since this debate. I think that something that one of the commentators that I was listening to, or one of the podcasts I was listening to, one of the things that they said was that they feel like both Trump and Biden, neither of the parties really care for them. But both of them thought that they were their best shot at beating the opponent, not their best shot of having the best presidency for the next 4 years, but they were the best shot at beating the opponent, that they thought Biden had the best chance of beating Trump. Trump had the best chance of beating Biden.
They should have played golf first. See who won.
The golf.
One thing that I found
that's really in touch with the American people, right?
Yeah.
2 old white men.
Just have a triathlon and the winner gets in the White House.
Fight to the death.
As long as it's golf, bowling, and what was the other thing?
Cornhole.
Little
Yins binge for presidency.
There we go.
The one thing I found interesting, an interesting point was...
I'd be your next president, by the way, if that was the case.
One of the podcasts was interviewing one of the candidates for the Republican that lost, that Vivek, I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm not going to try. And they asked him, are you upset that you didn't get any traction? The Republicans didn't back you. Nobody seemed to back you, and you just kind of fell off. And he said no. He said he totally understood why they backed Trump, and why Trump's the candidate. And one thing that we need to consider is that and I think he said it was the first time in U.S. history that we're not electing 2 people that are just telling us their ideas for the next 4 years, or one person telling us their idea and one person that was there for 4 years. We are looking at 2 candidates that were in office for 4 years. So we have 4 years under Trump and we have 4 years under Biden. So the voters for the first time in U.S. history can go, did I like it better for that 4 years, or did I like it better for that 4 years? And it's interesting, and there's definitely arguments on both sides. I think that there's definitely an argument that Trump's a loose cannon, that he's a little bit of a maniac. He talks too much. His Twitter, getting banned from Twitter is probably the best thing that could have happened to his presidency.
He's back on there, right?
He's back on. Elon let him back on, but I don't know that he joined it though. I think Elon unbanned him, but I don't know that he got back on.
He uses his own thing.
But but then I can tell you, like, I've seen some video footage that were kind of blended together, looking at Biden's performance in the 2020 debate versus the 24 debate, and it's frightening that his health and decline.
He's too old.
In the past 4 years, it's amazing. When
I've said it for years.
I wouldn't side by side.
I wouldn't. Here's the deal. I feel I wouldn't let Biden watch my. I wouldn't let Biden watch my kids, and I wouldn't let Trump hang out with my wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Lock up your front.
He
your back
did
door.
deny. So Trump denied sleeping with Stormy Daniels, which is a lie.
Yeah,
I thought he did sleep with her. I thought that was
he totally did. There's a whole book about it.
Yeah,
and
Big Ben
did she write it?
I believe so, but that happened, bro. We know it did. You
had an opportunity to say, "What the fuck, good's hush money?" If you don't shut up,
and
just say that. Don't lie about being with her.
So, anyways,
it's just locker room talk, bro.
We'll skip topic 2. Topic 3 was what? Immigration,
abortion, and healthcare. We can skip that. Okay. It's not business related.
What was 2?
National
debt. We kind of touched on that.
We're in debt. We're never getting out of debt.
Dude, it's $35 trillion.
Where was it 4 years ago?
Our kids are going to laugh at that number.
Dude,
I don't think anyone's going to make us pay that. We did have a surplus, I believe, under Clinton.
Clinton had right? 1 year where we had
it's the first surplus time ever.
But
we still had debt.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people misunderstand. They think that we didn't have any debt.
No, yeah,
that wasn't true. It was just that there was 1 year during Clinton's 8 years where they had a budget that didn't spend more than they brought in.
Which is absolutely absurd because you couldn't run any business in the world like they run.
You can't run a household.
Yeah.
Right. Without spending.
Yeah. I saw a thing one time. It was like if you come home from work and your sewer backed up and your whole first floor was ruined in your house, would you just add another floor to your house and let that remain shitty? Or would you like
You're only as
rebuild
strong
the
as
base?
foundation, Joe.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the government has taken a shitty floor and just kept building on top of it
piles
for
of shit.
40 years.
Yeah,
So-
they shouldn't be allowed to do that. But there's so much, it's so massive, the amount of money that they spend, that there's just, you want to talk about being numb to money. Like we've talked in previous episodes about buying a fucking
trillions
Facebook
of
Oculus
dollars.
for $500 and being numb to $500. They're spending billions and trillions of dollars.
If you had to redo the lighting in your building, you would get a couple quotes from a couple of different electricians. You're not going to be like, I'm just going to go with the highest one. If they're doing lighting in a building, they're getting 5 quotes and timesing the highest one by 5 and taking that guy.
Yeah.
The spending process there, and it's not even that. I mean, we're sending money
To other countries.
We're sending. I mean, we're sending. There's so
I get so anti
much.
like sending money to Ukraine and stuff like that, but that's just like a security blanket for us. You know, like if we don't give Ukraine money, China's going to give them money.
It is kind of
And
connected.
and it's like but you don't have to give them all the money. You don't have to
I don't
open the
think they're
coffers.
giving
I don't know.
all the money.
I mean, I don't know. I think the amount of money that we've spent. I don't know. It's
exorbitant.
crazy. I
Yeah.
mean,
So,
and it's weird that whenever we were in the Iraq War, and I'm not going to debate the Iraq War or open up that can of worms, but when we were, it's funny how over time and over our lifetime, how topics have become that used to be Democrat talking points have become Republican talking points. Republican talking points have become Democrat talking points. Where whenever we were in high school and the parental advisory thing and free speech, it was mainly
on that thing.
Yeah, it was mainly Republicans that were out there fighting for censorship and all this stuff, and it was Democrats that were. But now it's kind of the opposite when you have this cancel culture where you can't speak freely, and you have comedians that are being canceled because they said something wrong or whatever.
We should cancel canceling.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
we're here
We
to
should be
cancel
canceling. And then
if you
war,
don't like it, don't listen.
During the Bush administration, the Republicans were the warmongers, and the Democrats were the pacifists, the peacemakers. And now the Democrats are out there be like, we need to fight this war in Ukraine. We need to fight Russia. We need to.
Yeah.
And the Republicans are like, wait a second, what are we spending on? It's like, wait, guys, you just did the same thing 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, it's like that's why you got to tell
They're
the
both
truth.
hypocrites.
Yeah, you got to
They're
tell the
both
truth all the
hypocrites.
time, because if you don't tell the truth, you know what do they say? A lie will only hurt you once, but the truth will cut you 1,000 times. It's like they lie so much they forget the lies.
They can't keep their lies straight.
I've had employees in the past that are like that. They're like, dude, we actually, before I owned my own company, when I worked with my family, we had an employee. His mother died 3 times.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's like, I can't come in today. Mom died.
That's one of those things that all through my working career when I worked for other people, when people would be like, just tell them your grandma's sick. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, fucking karma's a
Why?
bitch.
Because my grandma's going to get sick if I do that.
Yeah, I started at a young age. I worked for a company, a big asphalt company, and they're like, where the fuck are you? I'm like, I think I drank too much last night. They're like, all right, get here when you get here.
You're just better off being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was we've kind of.
Yeah, they've fucking have blown honesty out the window.
Yeah, there's no.
The national debt's here, and the honesty policy is like
below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they just are in it for them fucking selves.
Yeah.
And I think that's the everybody needs to see that. And I think the more shit happens like this debate, the more people are going to be like, okay, yeah. What's the reason for having this guy up here? Why are the Democrats not telling Joe Biden, like, hey, it's been 4 years, you're done.
Yeah, like you
Go
need
off
to
to the
step aside.
pasture.
I think a lot of that now is there's a lot of argument about that now. After that debate, I don't know if you watched any of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
watched enough.
Even the channels that are typically left leaning were like, holy.
Yeah, what the fuck just happened?
We may need to consider finding a new candidate.
I don't know what the policies are on that.
Well, there's been a lot of that talk, and there's a lot of disagreement, and there's a lot of gray area, and nobody seems to really have that good answer.
A fair and free election. Let everybody throw their hat in the ring.
The problem is, I think, from what I understand, is that the only way to bring in a new candidate is if Biden steps down.
And then it would have to be Kamala Harris.
Well, so that's the argument, right?
No, she wouldn't have to be.
If he decided right now, hey, my health is not good enough to run for president, I'm going to resign as the candidate, then the argument becomes, well, you're already president. So
yeah, if you admit defeat now,
if you can't run for president, you shouldn't be president.
Yeah.
Well, then they have Kamala Harris, who has the worst approval rating of any vice president in modern history. I don't know that anybody wants Kamala Harris to be there. But then if Kamala Harris becomes president, does that mean that she's now next up to take the candidacy?
Yeah.
And I don't know that she can beat Trump. And I don't think the DNC thinks that she can beat Trump.
It's all about keeping it in your party. It's all about,
because they make millions, billions, trillions.
So then there's a lot of talk about Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is definitely more electable. I'm not a fan of Gavin Newsom just because of his shutdown policies and what he did to small businesses in California over the pandemic. And I think that he's also disliked, but I think he's way more electable than Kamala Harris. But I don't know how the Democrat Party can take. I mean, Kamala Harris is next in line. I mean, when a president,
there's a succession plan.
There's a succession plan.
Yeah,
she should be the next in line. And I don't know how you take Gavin Newsom and overstep Kamala Harris. Especially, and then how does Joe Biden say, I'm not fit to run for president, but I'm fit to finish the term? I mean, it's June.
Has Trump picked a running mate?
It's touchy.
No, not yet. He is not a
I think that's the most important person in the world right now, is who he runs with. Because he might say, the best point he made the whole night was when he said, I don't even want to be here. I'm here because you did such a bad job.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth to that, I think. Even though there's not a lot of truth to what he says, but
part of it's believable.
He could pick a great candidate to run with him and be like, if we win, I'll step down.
Yeah.
You know?
And now a brief word from our sponsor.
This episode of Between Two Bridges is sponsored by Paymark Payroll. Are you tired of spending countless hours juggling payroll calculations, tax filings, and compliance regulations? Well, say goodbye to that chore and let Paymark Payroll take the burden off your shoulders. With our secure online portal, you can access your business information from any internet location, even your phone. Employees will love the ability to receive direct deposits, and they can access all their pay stubs, tax forms, and information through their own portal. Focus on growing your business while we take care of the rest. With top-notch customer support, we're always here to assist you with anything, at any time. Don't let payroll stress hold you back. Choose Paymark Payroll and experience the freedom to thrive. Contact us at payyourpeople.com for a personalized consultation and a demonstration of our powerful payroll solutions, and see how Paymark Payroll can better your workflow. That's payyourpeople.com. Join the growing list of satisfied businesses that have embraced the convenience and efficiency of Paymark. Payday made easy. Your business deserves nothing less than the best, and that's exactly what Paymark Payroll delivers. Now back to the show.
Joe, what's your border policy?
I feel like we are a melting pot of people.
Yes.
I feel that there's a place here.
Immigrated at one point.
Yep.
There's a place here for everyone.
Cherokee Indian.
It's just not through a river or, you just can't.
I think that I agree with that.
Yeah, it's fucked.
We're a nation of immigrants.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a family of immigrants. I mean, I have family that's married into the family from Venezuela. a lot. But they'll be the first ones to tell you that this needs to get under control. That there is a right way to do this, and they've all done it.
But the problem is the right way has gotten so convoluted and takes so fucking long.
100%.
You're willing to take your chances and run through that burning flame to get here, because if you do it the right way, it could be 7 years and $40,000.
Yeah, 100%.
And they need to change that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the process to become a citizen should be easier, and then make it harder to get in illegally.
right. You can't have like blatant felonies on your record. And then just come on in. Like
you need immigration.
You wouldn't do that for your company. You wouldn't. Guy comes. I shouldn't say you wouldn't. If a guy has a convicted record, you might bring him in, but you're always going to look at him different. You're always going to keep an eye on him. We do
background checks. We do background checks for tenants. I mean, we wouldn't. I mean, if I have a tenant that applies for a place that has a recent violent felony, I'm not going to rent to him.
Right.
So I'm not going to rent him an apartment. I certainly don't. You know what I mean? Like, we need to have a checks and balances. There has to be. You can't just have a free flow of people just coming into your country.
Yeah.
You have to have borders. Every other country in the world has borders. I don't understand why we don't have borders.
Yeah, the one that got me was like when they said they couldn't control the border, so they're just going to like look the other way and let everybody come flying in. Yeah. I was like, that's the dumbest shit I ever heard.
I thought it was funny when Biden said that the Border Patrol endorsed his position. They tweeted immediately after, just for the record, we have never endorsed anything for Joe Biden.
I saw you're in favor of a wall. You want a giant wall?
I'm also in favor of alligators and poisonous snakes.
Okay.
Whatever you got to do to stop
Sharks
people.
with lasers on
Yeah, whatever they got to do. I saw a guy was like,
I mean, you can move freely through Europe, I believe. There's not.
Yeah, but Europe's different, and people aren't.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
I think there's still
rules in place.
There's still.
Yeah, there's checkpoints.
Yeah. And if you're carrying $100 million in a bag with someone's head, they're not going to be like, come on in.
Come on.
Yeah. I think it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything needs to be regulated to an extent. And I do agree that the government's responsibility is to regulate shit, but it's also
to protect the people.
Yeah, the people that are here. But it's
There's
also
a lot of horror stories out there of.
And to blame that, and that's the thing that I think that sucks about presidential debates and candidates. To blame it all on one guy,
right,
is horseshit.
Well, it just goes back to what we said before.
He should be camping out on the border.
Yeah.
AR.
But we also vote for a lot of locally appointed positions
that
would have control over that. And Texas can bitch all they want, but they voted some of those people in that aren't stepping their foot down,
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was hilarious with the governor that was mailing people. He was just shipping people to other cities.
Yeah, that was their move. That was his move. He started
sending them to Martha's Vineyard.
Well, and he shipped a bunch to.
And that's like an entitlement thing too with the ultra wealthy,
right?
Is they feel that if they say we need control of the borders, that's going to be a knock on them. No, that's common sense, but they don't want to say it because they're like, everybody come in, because they're not living on Rodeo Drive. They're not living in the Hamptons. They're not living. They're moving into 5 families into a house on 4th Street in Oakmont.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck with them. I mean, I was in Butler today. You see it all over Butler. There's a separation of wealth in that.
What's going on in Butler?
The separation of wealth in that area is unbelievable.
It's very drastic. It's crazy.
Okay.
I mean, you don't need to go far into town, and you can see a beautiful Victorian home, like 8, 10 bedroom home, and across the street, there's a house that someone flipped 3 years ago with vinyl siding, and there's 9 families living in it.
Yeah.
And then people next door got to be like, what the fuck? My family's owned this house for 115 years. We've upkept everything. And it sucks. But yeah, I mean, Butler is a unique spot.
I got foreign policy next.
Huh.
Yeah, I think we were talking
We'll
about.
skip Butler on foreign policy.
I think we kind of talked about that with the Ukraine and I don't know. There's some weird stuff going on. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw.
Russia's a threat.
Yeah. Did you see
that's the biggest?
Did you see the submarine
right now?
Did you hear about the submarine? So Russia had a nuclear submarine and a warship near Cuba, 25 miles off the Florida coast last week, which is international water. They didn't break any sort of rules. It was not an act of war. But that was a move. Now,
I do watch Deadliest Catch, and they've been stealing her crabs.
Russia.
Yeah, which impacts me directly.
Wait, what?
That. So Russia and us fish the Bering Sea, right? For crab. It's a very highly regulated thing. There's a border in the water that you're not allowed to cross. Russia has frequently been caught over that border taking my crab legs.
So I think that goes to do with leadership,
which is a war crime.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, so if the leader is looked at as vulnerable, because we all know there's a lot of moving parts to our government, but internationally, if you're like just drinking vodka and playing cards, you're like, that guy's a fucking chump.
Yeah.
Who's going to do what? No one's going to do anything. I'm going to steal these crabs.
I think there's an argument to say that Trump being a wild card, Trump being a little bit volatile, may have kept some countries in line.
Okay.
One thing that I found that's been kind of interesting is that there's been Trump's not gone there, but there have been rallies and stuff in like the UK where there's political leaders in the UK that are crying for Trump to be reelected in the US, that it's needed globally for the strength of the United States. And I don't know, I found that interesting.
But he also looks old. And what's he going to look like in 4 years? That's what I mean. Yeah. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Listen, the job ages you. I mean, George W. Bush, Barack Obama.
Yeah.
When they went in and they came out, they looked completely different. It ages you. So when you go in and you're already an old man, it can kill you.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the hardest job in the world.
The facts are the facts. Yeah. The stress, you can't make every decision right. And you got everybody talking about the decisions you made wrong. And
so the other thing that I've been hearing a lot is, and from both sides, and the Democrats say it as a defense, and the Republicans are saying it as a shot. That Biden's, he's getting older, he's getting up there, but it's the people around him. It's the people around him. They're the ones that are helping him. But the people around him weren't elected, so it's hard to say. And then it's kind of a double-edged sword, because then at the same time they're saying that you can't get Trump, you can't vote for Trump because he's a wild card, he's unstable, he's a maniac. What's he going to do? But isn't it kind of the people around him?
Yeah, he's the CEO.
And the same thing. And as a shot against Trump, like he ran the last time on draining the swamp, but then he appointed all the swamp all around him. Now he fired half of them, but but he surrounded himself with the same career politicians that we've been dealing with forever. I don't know. I
just want to fight their kids, both of them.
Yeah.
Put them all in.
You want to fight Barron?
I do want to fight Barron. I don't think he can. I think he got a weak chin.
Barron and Hunter? You want Hunter too?
Of course, Hunter needs to be in there. That degenerate. But
see, the thing is like those kids are benefiting so much on the taxpayers' dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Just Jill Biden alone, the outfits that she wears are exorbitantly expensive.
Yeah.
Which is bullshit to me.
Let's stress her down. I'm tired of paying for that shit.
Yeah, but we are.
And it's all of them.
That's what I said before. If I could get the president's dry cleaning bill.
Does he get to write that off, Jerry?
We did the math on this on the episode. Didn't we do, what was it, 365 days a year the president's wearing a suit times 20. Do the math on that.
Does he ever wear the same suit?
Yeah, but he's got to get them cleaned.
All right.
I think he just burns them.
So times 365 times like $8,000.
Do you remember? Do you remember whenever Obama came out with a tan suit on and everybody lost their fucking minds?
I do remember. What's wrong with
Dude, I remember
what are we doing here?
I want to do just Pittsburgh pricing. So it's 20 for the suit, 5 for the shirt. Am I looking
for a calculator? I thought I was Googling something.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
20 for the suit. 5 for the shirt.
Yep.
And 8 for the tie. What's that?
$33.
And times that by 365.
$12,045.
That's his dry cleaning bill every year.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
And in DC, it's probably triple.
That would solve the deficit, Joe.
It would help my deficit.
Yeah, and it's not just him; it's every single politician.
Yeah, and every Secret Service man, woman, and child. Like,
yeah, I guarantee those Secret Service guys are wearing the same suit all week
they
long.
got it rough.
they got to get it cleaned though. Dudes are in the trenches.
Yeah, I know, but
In the line of fire.
those guys, they're just cops, dude.
Yeah, we're paying for it.
Yeah,
It's
but
uniform,
they're just
part of the gig.
those are just normal
So
guys.
enjoy your 4th. I guess
Yeah.
is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, because it might be one of the last ones we ever have. No, I don't want to be that depressed about it, but like, fucking Christ, man. Like,
I don't know. It's interesting, but as a takeaway, this is intended to be kind of a short little bonus episode about the debate. We're not a political show. We're not political pundits. But as a takeaway, I really hope that people realize that these two guys are not going to change your life.
yeah.
Or your business.
Or your business.
They may impact it indirectly.
Well,
Yeah,
it's not
and
going to
they're
sway
gonna
it
make-
so much that you're not going to be in business.
No, but
The
you have to be
wealthy will still spend money.
Yeah, and you have to be the whole thing is this, and we talk about this all the time. You have to be light on your feet. You have to be able to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever COVID happened, my clients that pivoted exactly, that took advantage of the programs that came out, that figured out whether maybe I needed to sell flowers, maybe I needed to have a produce stand, maybe I need to have outside seating for my restaurant, maybe I need to, whatever it was, I need to adapt to this new world, no matter whether it's for the next 2 weeks to flatten the curve or whether it's going to be for the next 6 months or 2 goddamn years. We're going to be fighting with this. You have to be able to pivot. Your business has to be light on its feet. It has to be able to adapt. And if you can adapt, then it doesn't matter who's running for president, who gets elected president, because as long as you're able to adapt and pivot and be able to make the best of it. And that's why it's hard to say whether or not we're better off 4 years now than we were 4 years ago, because our businesses have changed, not because of anybody in the White House, but because we're out here hustling.
Right. We're willing to take chances.
We're taking chances. We're buying other businesses. We're starting new businesses. We're just taking advantage of any opportunity that presents itself in order to better ourselves. And we're not saying, well, Biden's in the White House and things are so bad, so I just have to sit here and suck it up. You don't just suck it up. You figure it the fuck out.
And to circle back on your 4 years, it's hard for me right now to sit here and say I'm better or worse off, because I've invested so much into my future that is not tangible. Like, I
haven't realized.
Yeah, you don't get to
gains
realize it. You don't get to feel it. You don't like.
Yeah.
I didn't buy a boat. I didn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, these are things that I'm gonna see the reward. You know,
Was that
10,
a shot
50.
because I bought a Corvette?
I said a boat.
You throwing a shot?
Does a fucking Corvette come in a boat package?
No.
I think they make Corvette boats.
Buddy, you had a dream. You had a vision.
You got it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, like, you gotta. Sometimes you gotta reward yourself, but
It's not a Ford fucking Ranger though.
No, just don't get all hung up on national politics. And if you're gonna bury yourself in the political game, what you really need, honestly, it starts local.
Yeah.
Get involved in local. Pay attention to what's going on around you.
Yeah, because a small town can get mowed down by shitheads.
It can, and it has way more impact on a business because your local municipality can hold up your business. It can slow you down.
Right.
It can shut you down.
And you look at the numbers, like non-presidential elections, like for local councils, the numbers are in the shitter.
Oh,
like
my
there were
God.
like 117 people in my precinct would vote.
Right.
And it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
And it impacts
Because
you
it's
the
not
most.
sexy.
And it does. It impacts you the most.
Yeah. And then there's a dog park down the street from you and you're bitching about it at council. And it's like, well, you could have prevented this.
And I do taxes for a living. It's a big part of my business. And the amount of money that people pay in taxes from president to president to president doesn't change that dramatically. But whenever your school board votes to raise your taxes 5.3%, that hits your bottom line.
Yep.
Whenever you buy a house and your school district sends you a welcome to the neighborhood letter and decides to reassess your house and your taxes double, and now all of a sudden your mortgage payment is not
What you
affordable,
signed up for, yeah.
that affects your life.
What's fucked up too with that is if you buy a commercial property, you hit that school tax. You get that tax hit. But you also are paying like a 1% luxury tax in a lot of places.
Yeah.
So you think you would just like back off on the commercial properties a little bit? Fuck no.
Or how about some of these towns that have business privilege taxes, mercantile taxes that tax you on your gross revenue? So no matter if you show a loss on your business or not, you're still paying them.
Yep.
There's so many taxes at a local level that impact your day-to-day so much more than anything that happens on a national level. I'm not saying not to pay attention at a national level. I'm just saying that everybody is at war right now over things that are not in our control and really don't have an effect on our day-to-day lives. Pay attention to what's going on in your local your local municipality, your local school district, and then worry about what's going on in your four walls, your family,
Pay
your
attention to what's going on
business,
in your kids' bedrooms,
your life. Exactly.
on their YouTubes.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff. Focus on that because everybody is so hung up on all this stuff. Focus on what matters and what you can control.
All right, so here's my question. Will there be a debate 2? There's a scheduled one. Do you think they'll have it?
I think they will, but I don't think Biden will be there. That's my prediction.
All right, well, that's that, boys. Let's see.
Anth, what do you think?
TBD.
No, I mean, you got to put it. I think it'll get canceled.
Sad day.
Hit it, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. Find and follow us on your preferred podcast streaming platform. Like and subscribe, and leave us a rating and review. You can join us socially on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Yes, we still call it Twitter. You can email the show at info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Until next time, make it till you rake it.